Hi, Dr. Fabrizio here again. Wanting to talk to you on another strategy for learning and studying. This is called interleaving. Which, if I could change this name, I would say it's like dovetailing information together. And a dovetail is, a joint on two pieces of wood that essentially one piece of wood has a shape similar to this, and the other piece of wood has a shape that corresponds to that. So the information fits together in a specific way. The information complements each other. Okay, so this is a technique where you're going to switch between ideas, or you're going to add additional information, maybe from another class. So typically in PT school, we think anatomy is this foundational course. So if I say anatomy is your foundation, then any clinical skills course draws from anatomy. So anatomy feeds into clinical skills. So let's say for some time you just study anatomy and you use the retrieval method and you're using spaced practice, and you're really trying to master, let's say, origins and insertions of muscle. You're trying to master actions and functions, all of muscle. That's a little bit of interleaving all on its own. If you add action and function to origin and insertion, you've now added a more functional component to the material. But let's say we want to really add another component from a clinical skills course. So let's say we want to measure that muscle function somehow, whether it's goniometry, whether it's manual muscle testing. So I may be taking information that's telling me what the specifics are of the structure of this muscle, where it is in the body, how I might palpate it, where I might find it, what function it might do, what joint it might act on, and then I'm interleaving information about how to measure the function of that muscle. How am I going to measure the range of motion? How am I going to measure the muscle strength? That's a form of interleaving. And you want to try and keep your topics as similar as you can. You don't want to flip around too much, so don't flip too much. Flip a few times. Keep it as a chunk of information that you're going to need later. This information then will become almost secondhand, that you understand the muscle, you understand the function, you understand how you're going to measure it, and then you're going to interleave or add more components to that in your orthopedic courses, where now you may be looking at pathology. And you still have to be able to recall all of this to understand the pathology. So that's interleaving. That's a basic introduction into interleaving. Interleaving will always feel like it takes longer. Harder, it feels longer, because you're not sticking to one thought. You're adding levels to each thought. But what's really happening is, as you add levels, you create new neural connections. And we're creating new neural connections. Remember, similar to retrieval learning, as we're retrieving, we're creating those connections. We are strengthening all of the connections that bring us to the end result of understanding this material. So that's a basic introduction into interleaving. I think the take-home message here is try not to teach each class as a silo. We are not siloed. Everything builds on everything else. So don't silo. Hope that was helpful. Again, I'll post some resources in the description for this video. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.